Good morning, everyone. So I'm Stéphane. I'm very, very excited to welcome you here in Paris. For those of you who do not live in Paris, as Linda said, I was in Berkeley last year at this conference. I enjoyed it very much. And when Guillaume, Julien, and Linda said that this would take place in Paris, I suggested we could do it in Paris. So this is a place where AXA head office is based. Of course, we have many other locations outside in the city and outside in the rest of the country. And what I wanted to do this morning actually is threefold. First, to give you just a very, very rapid overview of what AXA is. Some of you will know, some of you will not know. The second point that I want to cover is why do we believe that big data is key to our business? I don't know if we lead the way, but certainly we are aware that this is a very significant topic for us. And the third topic that I wanted to cover is what do we concretely do to try to address this opportunity with a few examples. And then we have questions and answers if need be. So AXA is a large organization. One of the largest, maybe the number one, the number two, depending on the KPI we look at, nearly 100 billion of revenues globally. We operate in the insurance sector, but with three main businesses. What we call property casualty, which is insuring the goods, the cars, the households, the factories. We insure protection and health, so really protecting people, their life and health. And we also operate in what we call the savings and asset management space. We are a big asset manager. We manage over 1 trillion of assets on behalf of our customers. So as you can see, it's quite diversified set of activities. And from a geographical standpoint, our roots are deeply rooted in Europe. Historically, this group was created by an entrepreneur, Claude Bébéard, 30 years ago, from a small mutual company in France, but it expanded very, very fast. And as you can see, even if still a big share of our business is in Europe, we have 15% of our business in the US and a growing part in many emerging markets, especially in Asia. Finally, we insure a bit more than 100 million customers globally. Now, in terms of, yes, I already covered it partially, but in terms of geographical footprint, as you can see again on this slide, we are large, maybe too large in terms of people, and a big part of our colleagues are still based in Europe. But as you can see, we have nearly 40,000 colleagues in Asia, including China, and a bit more than 15,000 in America, and a growing presence in Africa, where we are investing in many promising ventures there. So maybe before I go to the next slide, why do we believe and how did it come to us that, big data was and would become an absolutely critical part of our business? First of all, data has always been at the core of insurance, because our business is risk, and to manage risk, you need to understand, and to understand, you need some data. So we've been using since, decades, a lot of data, and as you know, we are quite data rich. We own, a lot of data on our customer. But to a very large extent, the use that we did on our data was pretty limited. Up to, let's say, a couple of years ago. Well, first of all, it was mostly on the technical side, underwriting, pricing, and part of the claims management, where we had so-called technical people, used to be called actuaries, working on our data. But the data culture was quite limited in our other part of activities, including in distribution, in marketing, and even on our core, let's say, technical art, which is really the risk. We used to use very conventional, let's say, statistical models to try to understand what happened in the past, but rarely to predict what could happen in the future. And I think that over time, and especially like since 3-4 years ago, really, it started that in some of our business, we started to realize that by collecting, by first using more of our internal structured and then a bit unstructured data, and then also by enriching some data set with so-called outside external data, we could just derive more predictive power and understand better and take better decisions. So this was really the start a few years ago. And since then, once we, collectively at executive committee level, understood that this was really a game changer, we decided to invest significantly. So what did we do? We thought that this was something pretty new for us. This was something pretty new, using new techniques, new type of software, new type of problematics, and addressing, from a cultural standpoint, going from the world, let's say, of statistics to the world of probabilities. And that was quite a very deep cultural change in our organization. So we decided to create different vehicles. The first one that was created was the Data Innovation Lab, which is a central team of experts, of young or non-young, but some of them are young, so-called data scientists. Some are in the room, which are building capabilities and which are engaging with most now of our business entities to co-develop concrete so-called big data-driven project on just to address pain points for our businesses. Should it be on marketing? Should it be on retention? Should it be on pricing, on CatNat, on claims, on whatever? So we've been able to attract skills. I think now this team will be nearing 100 people. It was based in France initially, but we've just opened in Singapore recently. And it's really a test and learn approach. So really the approach is very pragmatic, small teams working with the business on a concrete business case, and trying to build a solution, and then to industrialize the solution if and when some real evidence has been shown that enriching or working differently could create value for the business. So this Data Innovation Lab was created a few years ago, has grown significantly, and is working on a very, let's say, entrepreneurial mindset together with our AXA entities. And I think we have now run roughly 60 projects, 70 projects. I may have some figures later on. And again, it's not a pure research center. It's really working very, very closely with our various operations. On the left-hand side, you can see the AXA Lab. AXA Lab are small teams which are located, one is located on the West Coast in San Francisco. One is now located in Shanghai. And their job, their mission is not to develop things, not to build models, but really to connect to the ecosystem and to detect trends, to identify potential partners, startups, non-startups, to, from an internal standpoint, to accelerate our digital awareness within the AXA world. And to bridge, let's say, the gap in between the external non-AXA world with the AXA one, because we believe that we will not solve all the problems by our own, and we are engaging in many forms of partnerships with small or with large organizations, with whom we can build new solutions for customers, for distributors, for employees. So this is very agile. It's very small teams. extremely effective, and helping AXA to understand what is going on outside and to connect the dots in between the outside and the inside. If I now go to the bottom of the slide, we have set up, or we are about to set up, actually, because one of them is not yet set up, two vehicles. One is called AXA Strategic Venture. It's a fund. It's a VC fund. Invested, I mean, well, it's two funds. One is really a seed fund and another one is a growth one. And here again, the idea is to say that we'll not do everything by our own. Some people outside are, I mean, certainly as wise and as smart as we can be, and even smarter. And why don't we partner with them? Why don't we help them build solutions, develop their business? So this is a fund which mission is to invest in mostly in startups that have are building innovative solutions that can provide potentially value to the AXA ecosystem directly or indirectly. So this fund was created a year ago. I think they invested now, by memory, in roughly 15 companies. They have a global footprint, and their mission is really to enlarge the ecosystem and support innovative companies. And the last one is Kamet. Kamet is due to be born in 2 months. It's a new initiative that actually I will run from 1st of 1st next year. It's pretty disruptive because here the idea is to say we'll create a vehicle outside of AXA, funded by AXA initially, but which mission will be to build disruptive models, okay? So models which potentially can hurt some of our existing models. So instead of saying, let's wait and see for external disruption, we'll create, and we have decided to create a real entrepreneurial framework, which will attract, hopefully, great entrepreneurs, and which mission will be to build disruptive insurtech, let's call it this way, businesses. So another way to address the protection topic. Yeah, so I already covered part of this slide in my speech. So yes, AXA Lab, they connect a lot. Maybe a few examples. We have partnerships with many, let's say, digital players, native digital players. I mean, in the health space, in the motor space, on the household space, on various space, and we really try to learn. We really try to co-develop things and solutions that will address the needs of either our partners or their own customers. On the Data Innovation Lab, I will tell you more. Yeah, don't take me wrong. When I said we decided initially to have a kind of global capability, again, it doesn't mean that in each and in every of our so-called local operation, AXA entities, we have also, and we are growing local capabilities. So I think we have now a bit more than 200 data scientists, not in the lab, but in our AXA entities. So each and every of AXA entity has a plan, is building, depending on its own maturity, obviously, but is developing capabilities, specialties, leveraging, of course, some infrastructure that very often is built and developed at more at, let's say, group level. But this is a way we work. Yeah, so in terms of footprint of this, let's say, innovation ecosystem, as I said before, the various vehicles that I mentioned that we've created over the last few years have a global footprint, and I will not detail all of it, but most of this operation work on a global way with teams across the globe. Again, a lot is happening in Asia, so we are pushing a lot in Asia. We are also very active in the US, as some of you will know, and of course, historically, we have quite some teams here in Europe, but the more it goes, the more we are expanding everywhere. Now maybe a few words on what do we do concretely on, maybe I'll start with this one, on these big data, so-called big data initiatives. What type of problems do we try to address? Where do we try to learn? I mean, it's along the whole value chain of insurance. I mean, some of these topics on acquisition, targeting, retention, cross-selling, better understanding the customer, its needs, anticipating things, anticipating what we call moment of truth, when a customer will move house, will change car, will get a baby, will whatever. I mean, we know that by enriching data, we can find weak signals, and then whenever we have better information, we can serve and anticipate customer better. This is true also on retention. Whenever a customer is about to leave, it's better to know it or to try to know it in advance instead of reacting afterwards. So we have quite a few, let's say, quite a massive effort on better understanding who are our customer, what do they need, what is happening in their life to try to better serve them. So this is a major topic, but which is probably the same in many other industries, where we have some very specific, let's say, insurance-related opportunities. It's really on the core of our business, which is the risk, as I said before, and the claims management. So there, I will not cover all of what we do, but clearly we have a significant effort on underwriting and pricing. I mean, what we call predictive underwriting, non-traditional pricing, because, you know, we used to, I mean, to price risk, to assess the risk, we used to do it with what was available, which was mostly socio-demographic data. What is your age? Where do you live? What is your job? And our actuaries used to build, I mean, statistical models to try to understand a bit was the relationship from these, let's say, non-predictive or very low prediction variables, and what we know and what we have now evidence day after day is that a lot of the risk is related to behavior, and of course we can understand, we can approach, we can master the behavioral dimension of the risk, and either be able to better select the risk and price the risk, or better align the interest of customer and their insurance company, or better anticipate and prevent the risk from occurring. So instead of only solving a problem once a problem has happened, we believe that this industry will move towards more prevention, anticipation in the future. Another big area where we've been, I mean, and when I say we, I mean the industry has been quite weak and poor, I would say, historically, is on its claims management. I mean, both from a technical standpoint and from a user experience standpoint. And I think a huge revolution is coming in this dimension. I mean, both from a pure technical standpoint, so really understanding where are the costs, how can we optimize our various, I mean, claims levers. Should it be in procurement? Should it be in fraud detection? Should it be in what we call leakage? But probably even more importantly, on the customer standpoint, I mean, when we put ourselves in the shoes of the customer, we can easily imagine solutions which will be much more, let's say, natively smart from a customer standpoint in terms of experience, in terms of getting, let's say, the pain out of his mind, and making sure that this experience, which is what we sell ultimately, is a nice one and not a boring one. Maybe a few things, of course, about the so-called connected device. I mean, many of you are working on this. We are extremely active on these new technologies because it's a way to capture data, it's a way to measure things, it's a way to be able to provide additional services to the customers. So we are pretty active on what we call telematics. We are pretty active in what we call connected homes. And obviously we're also pretty active, but when I say active, it's really learning on what we call connected health. And again, we do it not alone, we do it with many partners. We try to build ecosystem yeah. Maybe finally on this one, we are not only piloting things, we are also building assets, building technical assets. And I will not elaborate too much because I didn't want this presentation to be too technical, but we are, building a lot of, let's say, technical foundation across the organization so that we can scale, so that we can automate a lot of what is still done manually and what is not necessarily end-to-end integrated in many situations. And to do so, obviously, we need to invest quite massively in various solutions and tools. So this is what I wanted to say. The last thing I wanted to say again is welcome to this conference. Welcome to our offices. We are extremely serious on this topic, as I tried to illustrate today. We try to develop a lot also of relationship with the academic world. This is why since the beginning I was very keen to partner with Ensae, with Berkeley. We have many relationships with leading universities in Europe, in the US, in Asia, because we also believe that the research world is key to this ecosystem. We are recruiting a lot. So whoever is interested by this industry, and believe me, this industry is a great industry, unlike what some people may believe. I love it. I've been loving it for 25 years. It's an industry where there is so much to do and which has a real sense, in terms of really helping people when they are in bad situation. So again, thank you again. I hope you will enjoy these 2 days. I hope there will be fruitful discussion and presentation, and I'm at your disposal if and when you need it. Thank you.